Alright, so this is Trax News, and I'm going to give you a heads up on today's daily headlines from around the world and from traxnewseditor. FBI investigates death of a black man pinned to the ground by police. Now, this is happening. I mean, I can imagine how many times this happened before everybody had a cell phone camera. It must have been out of control. It's a little holocaust in and of itself. Okay, right? With the amount of black men in prisons and God knows what abuses and what misery they went through. All of it tying back to the original sin of slavery here in this country, and it's still ongoing. So, listen, I don't have the solution to every problem, but if I could give advice to police officers, right, we want to keep the arrests to a minimum. I know that all the police want to exercise their authority, but just like with Eric Garner here in New York City, selling cigarettes, sometimes they get belligerent, right? Sometimes somebody might approach you and, police officer might approach me, hey, let me see your ID. They don't usually do that to me for one reason or another. But if they do, and I have to deal with an asshole, right, I just play it calm, I play it safe, I play it cool. But if some people in the back of their mind feel like that happens to them too often and they want to get belligerent and they want to say, why you want to see my ID? I'm just standing here. What do you want to see my ID for? And then it turns into an arrest where someone's neck is, let's avoid that arrest. Let's avoid that conflict. Let people have the liberties and freedoms and make the arrests and serious situations. Because then when someone gets pinned to the ground and dies, right? And it's because, like in Eric Garner's case here in New York City, for some cigarettes or something like that, not only is one person died, not only is the officer loses, destroy his life, destroy his career, and then the city gets sued for millions of dollars. For what? For some bullshit arrest or some bullshit traffic stop? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm driving up and down the highways over here. I'm not doing the speed limit. I'm doing faster than that. I know how to drive, whatever. Okay, you give me a ticket, I pay my ticket, or I plead not guilty, so on and so forth. But there's sometimes situations where the cops are just pulling people over just to ticket them. So you got to pay the officer's salary. You got to pay the salary of everybody who's processing that ticket. You got to pay the courts when they plead not guilty to back up the system. So what are you doing? You're charging people $350 with a net profit of $35, if you're even making net profit, and you're using ticketing and speed enforcement as a form of taxation, and that and this and that and the policing. If they wanted strict policing and they wanted a society with everybody's all this and that, then they shouldn't have had the original sin of slavery, where they abuse people and for generations to come, all sorts of shit's going on all over the place with poverty and problems. Now that you have that case, you're going to have to give people their liberty and not get on their back. But if you don't understand that, then you can have the FBI investigate and get sued for millions and destroyed lives. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. My advice here at Trax News is to chill the fuck out, right? For the for law enforcement in a sense, right? Just what could be so hard as doing less of your job anyway. If someone says, "Hey, sir, please do this and that," and you want to come with that authority, some people just don't want to hear it, and it turns into this. And if you got to be careful if you're an officer. I'm looking out for everybody's interest here. I don't want to look out and point my finger at the police officers and say, "You're doing this, you're doing that." The smart ones already know what I'm saying anyway, so what's the point? Then there's this white woman who called the police on a black man bird watching. I wish I knew the details of this story. I saw this. This woman makes me sick, right? They're calling them Karens on the internet, right? I don't know why, but it's this woman that right away she picks up the phone and she's trying to use authority on you and try to make you do something. And I see this guy and he's this and he's that and this and that, and this dog is struggling to breathe while this is happening. It's disgusting. These people are sick monsters. Okay? So this is the type of person you don't want as your next door neighbor, right? You know what I'm saying? You have a party once a month, and they're already knocking on your door. Hey, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm calling the police right now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Fuck you. So luckily, at least the cell phone camera is one of the greatest things in the world. We could shine a light on what the world looks like. Look what she's doing. She's obviously a sick person. Look at her dog gasping for air. She's pulling on the dog's leash. She's basically hanging the dog. And she's like, and what is she saying, this freak? Huffing and puffing and saying she's in the park. This is her being threatened. I've had these problems several times. I'm walking into my building and someone asks me, do you live here? My first question is, who the fuck are you? Do you live here? Who are these people that they think that they get to tell other people what to do? If you're not a police officer, if you don't have any authority, then kick rocks. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. Right? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter if I'm spray painting the side of a fucking building. If you're not a police officer, there's nothing you can do about it other than call the police. Stop trying to be a fucking hero and think you're standing up for this and that. Your life, now this woman's life is rightfully destroyed. Hopefully she's going to be an internet classic and they use her and meme her and her next door neighbors spit right in her face as she walks into the building. Because she's a piece of shit. Choking that dog made me fucking sick. Trax News is for the people, by the people. There's a lot of stories going on. They give you some perspective on what's happening. There's a lot more going on in the world than that. And if you want to have control of the media, you want to have control of what's happening in the news, you could contribute to our website. You could join our organization. Read the description, hit the link in the bio, and jump on board. And you could write your own stories or do your own reporting. Expand the organization, own a piece of the business. It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope that you join and you jump in with us.